For the next year, so they do the order, I just need to ask for the back.
I think we're good, Chris.
There we go.
Maybe some work out.
Stuff.
Sorry, so it's not spicy. I see a great. The hires.
Good morning, everyone. We'll call to order the September 16th meeting of the Madison County Board of Commissioners. My name is Chris Rolfe. If everybody would please introduce themselves for the record.
Tony Xenigas,
Brendan Shea.
Rob Slang, County Administrator.
David Bell.
Rhonda Meyer, Assistant Clerk.
And when we were at the engineer's office. Brian Boone. And it's by the Darrell should. Number 4 Township, Jim, I am. Brian Olson for Township. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. So we have no sheriff and no prosecutor today, so we'll go straight to Brian.
Yeah, good morning. We're having to follow up on last week's conversation, we're going to wait until we move through resolutions.
Okay. Very good.
Just have a question for Brian. It's actually pertaining to the minutes, so I don't know if we're gonna,
Pertaining to what?
to the minutes. I don't know if we're gonna approve those or not. We didn't get a printed copy, but, sorry, I'm just trying to find what it says.
Did you send minutes out around that?
Yeah, she
I
did.
did, but then Amy worked on them.
Last night.
So the version I have, it says under Brian's report, it says describe the RUMA and how it is designed for each solar project. Again, this is pertaining to the discussion in Springwater Solar to protect the roads, drainage and soil, therefore leaving this area better than when the developer found it. I don't remember you making a statement that it's better than when the developer found it. Is it, did you make that statement or does that accurately?
That's not. Protecting the site as best we could.
Right. That's what I took away from, it's the protective aspect of it.
Protect the drainage. The look out for adjacent properties with regard to that. The review of how they handle topsoil so that they're not throwing topsoil on sites. And they do that through our stormwater regulations. Really two main hammers we use. Our RUMA for the roads, our stormwater regs for the work on site. That's where we're enforcing our drainage and topsoil management. With the main goal being no adverse impacts, drainage and topsoil wise to the site and to the neighbors. So that when the site is decommissioned, it can be returned to agricultural production.
So my suggestion would just be to,
I'm not making any statement on if it's better than what works.
right, so my suggestion would just be to take out the therefore leaving the area better than
I know they've been revised.
they've been revised, okay.
It's Amy's job to do the minutes, which she revised all.
Okay.
Okay, so
So I guess we're not gonna discuss those right now, so sorry.
I'm sorry,
Yeah, if Amy made
we're getting
changes,
sick wasn't the plan.
yeah, if Amy made changes to the minutes, we can go ahead and approve those next week if there have been revisions, updates to those minutes. Then we'll reflect that change to the minutes.
All right.
Not a big deal, it's fine. We'll approve them next week with those changes. Very good. David?
Yeah, I can give a quick update. Well, we have the privilege that made a trip to Japan, last week. We're gonna full report, a lot of individuals returned over the weekend, so we have a chance to get back in, get some and everything, but it was good visit. We met with 2 companies, that are here headquartered that are in Madison County that are headquartered in Tokyo. We met with Crazy Blue, Togose, and then we met with, G-Tech, which is the owner company of JIC. Both productive meetings. They both reaffirmed their commitment to Madison County investment here. We were able to take a tour of their R&D facility, VTech's R&D facility for their, they're starting to work on making casings for, EV battery, EV batteries, the casings for all models. I believe also they mentioned that this could also work with hybrid type models as well. So they're basically the trends are hybrids. They're seeing more and more hybrids being the market growing for that, whereas EVs kind of flattened for a little bit, but they're keeping an eye on it to determine how that market's going to be moving forward. So those were good visits. I think one of the more productive meetings and times we had was the Consul General of Japan, Mr. Kishimori. He's out of Detroit, but basically he's the individual where if a company is interested in potentially investing in a couple of states, whether it be Michigan or Ohio, he's one of the people they talk to. So we had a good, like 3-hour meeting with him. Gave him an understanding of Madison County, strengthened our relationship with him. He's been to Ohio. He's been in the position for 9 months. He's been to Ohio 19 times. He's headquartered in Detroit. And he wants to come to Madison County, look at sites in London, West Jefferson, get a real understanding of the community, and work with us to bring opportunities to the community. So that was a very productive meeting. That was on our Friday night. We were 13 hours ahead, obviously. So right now it's 9:45 p.m. There. But
He was also one of the panelists at the
Yes.
conference, so, Madison County was highlighted.
Yeah.
During that.
He mentioned at the meeting and how we were working with him and so on and so forth. And we had a good meeting with Honda, representatives from Honda. Talked to them about our investments, the investments happening in Madison County, and continue to work with them. And then the conference as a whole, and I don't want to dominate the conversation if these two gentlemen have anything else to say, but the conference itself was really good as well. We were hearing best practices of other states, and kind of what's going on from a economic development standpoint, and just how the Japanese relationship with the Midwest US. So we had representatives from Iowa, Kansas, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, and others. And we were actually probably the most well represented state. I think we had about 60 individuals from Ohio at this event. So I think it was very productive. We'll have, again, a comprehensive report provided over the upcoming weeks. I think everybody came back somewhat healthy. I had a cold while we were there, acting pretty good. I know one person came back with, I think, COVID, and then two people have COVID, so it's what it is. I chugged NyQuil. No, it was good, a good thing, again, comprehensive report. So I don't know if anybody else,
Yeah, I would just add that, the conference and the business partners that we met with, the suppliers. EV is taking a little bit of a back burner, and hybrids now kind of what their focus is. But there was zero mention of internal combustion cars. So it definitely, elaborated on the trend moving away from internal combustion motors as far as transportation goes. The other piece of that was driver assisted tech, and it wasn't necessarily autonomous vehicles, but driver assisted technology. I think a lot of that is to help with fuel economy, to get the most out of the hybrids and the EVs as possible. And then the other buzzword to take away was AI. AI was at the forefront of all of the conversations. So with AI and the competition for AI, of course, comes with the need of infrastructure and data centers and so forth, so on with that. But coming back from that trip and having be invigorated, as far as, economic development goes. As far as the board's position, we made a lot of contacts. We were there. That's part of the point for being at the conference, the networking opportunities. Is there a high interest, medium, low, no interest in potentially bringing in a manufacturer to the county, be it West Jeff, London, 7042, that sort of thing, entertain, pursue those opportunities, with the consul general, what is his name again? Consul General.
Morris last
Yeah.
year.
Anyway, what his position is. Consul General, yeah, for Michigan and Detroit, how much, effort should we put into chasing down these opportunities, building that relationship, potentially bringing in a higher paying, workforce, diversifying from the base that we have now. Is that something that the board, would like to see us put a lot of effort into, some effort, not really interested at all?
In my perspective, and I think that's the whole purpose of attending that conference and in those meetings is to build those relationships so that you can take advantage of opportunities in the future. Yeah, we did have a good, meeting with him, good dinner with the consul general. I think we've indicated to him that we're gonna likely invite him to Madison County for an event. I think we certainly need to do that and continue to build that relationship and seek opportunities that might be available. We have no point in going if you're not gonna, use those relationships, build on those relationships for future opportunities for the county.
I mean, like he said, that's what you went there for. And if we can make some, decent jobs for some, especially for some of these kids that are graduating and leaving the county, I think that would be a good way to maintain some of our own people here.
Well, as we went through the strategic plan, the exercise to develop the strategic plan, it's definitely highlighted that we're somewhat lopsided with the logistics and distribution centers being our highest.
Well, the problem with those is you don't have a lot of people working in the warehouse, right? So
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, we have a lot of investment and focus in DC's logistics, that sort of thing. So typically, successful communities have a wider range of,
but just like Stanton, how many people work at Stanton today? Do you know?
About 1,300.
1,300, and they have a small footprint, really. But, so something like that to me sounds good.
Yeah, I would say diversifying the industry, but also aggressively pursuing filling the open facilities that are there now. And I would think that would be the top
Sure.
priority.
Is there still interest in that Honeywell building?
At this point, no, I think before we left, I updated the company coming back to state, they've moved on, focusing to Cincinnati.
The one that was from Italy?
No, the Italy one, they walked away, they purchased, but.
Oh, I thought the other one was still interested.
No, I think
Okay.
I'll check back, I thought I reported that.
Okay, I don't remember.
Yeah. So it's back on the market. I don't think it'd be on the market for too long. It's had too much interest.
Another item to highlight, Daisy talked to both of the businesses that we've met with about workforce development issues and getting their local people connected with polls if they aren't already connected and making sure that there are programs available for the workforce of the 21st century to also support those businesses for future expansion. So I think that's an important initiative as well.
Yeah, I see a perfect example with their expansion that they have going on right now. It's not a program,
Oh, yeah, it's crazy to put up here.
yeah. But the point I'm trying to make is, through this conference, through the networking, we've highlighted Madison County, to these Japanese companies and government and so forth, so on. So we're highlighted, now taking the next step to actively, aggressively pursue saying, hey, Madison County is open. We want you here. We're going to court you. and start developing those relationships, which eventually could evolve into on the supplier, lots of different things. So what my takeaway today is to reach out to those individuals. Let's pursue some opportunities and, see what happens. So.
It looked like a worthwhile endeavor, for sure. David, anything else for now? That's it. Thank you, sir. Bob?
Most of my business today, other than what I just spoke about, is in the different resolutions.
Okay.
Today, so unless you have anything from me, I really don't have anything to bring to the board today.
Just in advance of tomorrow's public review for the comp plan, do we have those maps already ready to go?
Yep.
So we won't have a repeat of.
Well, we haven't had a chance to sit down and do it yet, so our goal will be to talk about Deer Creeks. Because we're gonna try to meet with them in a public meeting, we haven't had a chance to do that.
So the maps that'll be presented tomorrow night, which maps will it be?
Yeah, I mean, we can present what we have, but I guess the question is, and unless I'm fog memory from before travel, do we want to revert just strictly back to the map we had and not, okay, we could do that. So yeah, I'll talk to, Val, make sure we get an older version of that map and then go from there. So, okay.
I mean, basically, we have 3 different maps. As it is today, what it was when we left conversations with Deer Creek, and then changes that Deer Creek made more or less on their own that we were unaware of. So which map you want to present to the public is somewhat questionable, or maybe present all 3 and make it definitely evident that one is proposed, both 2 proposed and one as it exists.
The one with the changes that we have not discussed with Deer Creek are not to be presented.
Yeah, I think that should be communicated to them ahead of time, so they're aware. I mean, I can make that call if you want to talk to them, but we didn't discuss it. They showed up at the meeting with those changes. It doesn't.
Yeah, until those discussions occur, I think it's best to leave those out to avoid confusion. Very good. I'm gonna get it.
I sent it to the email.
The revised news.
So if Deer Creek desires those changes and we update that map, will we recommend then that Deer Creek Township have their own public hearing after that? I mean, what's your advice to them?
I think we should have that discussion in meeting
With Deer Creek?
with all 3 of us.
Yeah.
I think we should wait for.
Yeah, I guess I'm jumping ahead into the process.
Yeah, I have thoughts on it. I'd like to do it as a group.
I did make the statement that we had an opportunity to make the roads better.
You did.
Okay.
So, yeah.
But it's much more expansive than
If you.
what's in there. So it's,
If you drive the roads, that are around Madison Fields, around Foxborough, that were included in the room of. Ended up with roads that are in better condition than before that project started.
Yeah, the statement says, designed for each project to protect the roads, drainage and soil. Therefore leaving this area better than when the developer found it.
That is one thing that's specific to the roads. I did make a statement that in these projects where we've negotiated these road improvements, we have ended up with roads in better condition.
It's the way I understood it. but the roads were in better shape than they were.
Or we could always just put discussion and sue.
Well, I think we need to add that for the resolution itself, because it just says resolution table. We had a 40-minute discussion.
She left. And enough already.
And one,
Rob, did you want to discuss that issue?
I'm sorry,
Did you want to discuss the question you raised now
which question was that?
about how to proceed going forward? with
Oh,
Deer
yeah,
Creek?
yeah. So, have a public meeting and then meet with Deer Creek afterwards, if they so desire to make these changes to their township, specifically as far as, preferred land use goes. How do you want to get that out to the public then after that? Is that encouraging Deer Creek to have their own public hearing with those potential changes and then come back to the county commissioners, or how would you like to, or us to facilitate getting to the end product?
but hopefully Deer Creek's there
Right,
tomorrow.
but if they don't have really a map to reference.
Well, they're the ones that supposedly made that map,
True.
so they ought to know what they want.
True.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think what you're getting at is,
Then
If we
afterwards, yes, you know,
yeah, if we present maps and those maps change.
Yeah.
Does that dictate having another meeting? And I don't think you have to have another hearing in the same format, but I do think when all is said and done and all these conversations have been had, I think whether it's at our meeting or at a trustee meeting, presenting the final maps, which will then go through the process, which they could change at that time as well. So if they change going through the process and the different boards, you don't necessarily have a new public hearing every time.
Yeah.
So I think this is the opportunity for the public to see where it's going, provide input. And I'm going to continue to have that open dialogue.
The entire issue with those changes are, those changes are outside what we have identified as the growth corridors. They're incompatible with our stated goal. Therefore, I don't think there's a conversation to be had. If we've told the public that we are limiting growth to these specific growth corridors, I don't think we can be in the position of changing maps outside of those growth corridors. It is inconsistent with our stated position, therefore I don't think it's up for much debate or discussion. It's kind of, it is what it is. We're happy to make changes to the map in consultation with the townships, as long as it's in keeping with, our stated goal, what we think is the stated goal of the trustees that we've had conversation with, which is to limit growth to these growth corridors that we have all worked together to identify.
There is one change, and David, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that may have happened in this gray area, and that is in the growth corridor at 70 and 42. So the other ones are definitely outside of what's been identified as a growth corridor. So but you do have one or two properties, one owner there that has requested that change to Deer Creek. Now, I can't remember if that was in the confusion or before the confusion. But in, the being transparent.
Yeah.
At the end of the process, when you say, hey, here's the comp plan that we're adopting, and saying, well, hey, we didn't see that prior to, that's what I'm
Yeah, and I'm also
trying to.
Yeah, and I'm also happy to have that map, tomorrow night, show those changes at 70 and 42, those being in a growth corridor. I'm happy to show those changes.
Talking about, sorry, I'm texting back on Dennis as we're talking. So you're talking about which changes are we, okay,
70 and 42 next to the regional sanitary sewer.
correct, that's in that was in the proposed, back in February. that was at least being
Okay,
discussed.
so it's only the ones,
Yes.
right next to London that was
Correct.
updated.
Yeah, correct, the ones on 143. This is the recent one I had.
Yeah.
So that does not have anything on 142, it just has everything up and around 42 and 40 and 70 and 42.
So there were no additional changes proposed by Deer Creek that we were unaware of, that were in the
Correct.
70-42 corridor.
Correct, yeah.
Very good,
That makes it easy.
so. Very good. Rhonda, if you would please.
And, we're gonna discuss the tabled ones first. Resolution 41425, a resolution stating no hearing needed on a liquor permit application for Little Docks Lakeside Pizza LLC.
Move to approve.
So what's the history of foregoing hearings on these types of things? I know we've had a couple renewals that we've dispensed with the hearing, but this is not a renewal as far as I understand. So has that been the past practice that we just don't have hearings and just,
This is basically the hearing in the past, so it's just come before the Board of County Commissioners for approval. Proponents or opponents have the opportunity to speak at this meeting.
yeah, I mean, that's,
That's what's happened in the past.
so it's not really much of a notice other than just it's on the agenda.
Yes.
So someone would have to be actively looking on the agenda. I mean, there's no proactive notice, so. Yeah, I mean, for something like this, I mean, there could be keen public interest. First of all, are we the final approval or do we just send? We're not the final approval on issuing. We're basically just sending our approval to move forward without.
It's part of the process.
It's part of the process.
If the hearing happened, is it a hearing here or is it conducted by, who conducts the hearing?
That would be up to your discretion. As far as your approval from the county.
So I'm not familiar with this, but I try to look into it, so. Guys from Choctaw Lake probably would know better. This is a pizza shop, right? And they want to sell beer, am I correct?
I want to make a statement up front that,
Please do.
and I was totally unaware of this resolution coming up, but I am the owner of that. I do not operate
You're the owner of the property or?
the property, that is.
Yeah, I get it. My thought on this, and
I
maybe,
mean, I'll discuss it
no,
if you people are comfortable with it.
so you rent the facility.
That is correct.
Okay, good enough. My thought on these liquor licenses, and if I'm wrong, right? First of all, it's not a dope shop, which I totally despise, okay? But secondly, if a guy wants beer, you can just go down to the gas station and buy it. So what's the difference? I really don't see a difference. And if you're the kind of person that doesn't want to go to that restaurant because they have beer, because you have some kids who don't want to see that, then don't go. They're gonna buy the beer anyway. We had this conversation at the fairgrounds, right? Some people didn't want them to serve beer there or to have a beer can or whatever, but everybody was hauling it in there by the crate. No one looked under their, I mean, hey, that's all.
So the resolution does two things. It says that we do not request a hearing and that the clerk is to notify the Ohio Division of Liquor Control accordingly. Is that what grants the permit or is there a follow-up step in the
I would
process?
think they would still have to see it, right? We're not opposing it. I guess that's what that says.
Yeah, but my understanding is we're basically declining to hold a formal hearing and sending it forward to Ohio Liquor for their final review and approval.
Okay, so they, either way, we hold a here, let's say we hold a hearing. We don't have any role in the approval process other than to hold a hearing or not to hold a hearing. We don't have any,
No, it's not our, yeah, like, we have nobody within Madison County that reviews liquor permits.
Do you have the application?
I do.
I think that may shed a little bit of light on it, because I believe if you deny at this point in the process, then that may kill it.
it's not a question of denying. This is not approve or deny. This is hold a hearing or not hold a hearing.
Yeah, in the past.
That's part of the process.
Correct, yeah, in the past, when it's been a small local business, we have declined to hold a hearing and just move forward. And allow the Ohio Department of Liquor to make their ultimate decision on whether or not to issue that permit. We didn't see it worthwhile to holding a formal hearing on the issue. And I maintain that I don't believe we need to hold a formal hearing on the issue.
And it's something that comes through very seldom. I mean, very seldom.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen a new license. I think I've only seen a
The
renewal
renewals.
since I've been here and
Yeah, we get new ones, yeah.
Oh, we got to do one at the Garvey Township that we was good.
I think they had to go, they're talking about with the rec center, I don't think so. Yeah, there was one, and I think they petitioned to the citizens and then put on the ballot. Oh, yeah, that's not it.
Yeah, it's pretty rare. That we get a new request.
yeah. So this is the first time that I'm you know, confronting how that process works for a new one. For me, I think it's as a notification thing as much as anything, and giving folks the notice and the opportunity to comment if they.
Do you want to hold a hearing?
Well, that's what my discussion is about.
If you want to hold a hearing, hold a hearing.
That's my discussion is about, so. If I'm in the
Make
minority,
it simple.
I can second the resolution and vote no on the resolution, but
I withdraw my, comment on, so moved. I take it back. If you want to hold a hearing, let's have one. What's another, meeting that we can go through and,
could be, I'm
Oh,
sure
yeah.
it could be at this meeting.
oh, yeah.
Probably won't
There
take
might
very
be,
long.
there might be 100 people here. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that would be a nice way to see how this process works, but let's have a hearing.
That's the sarcasm. Okay.
By God, we'll have a hearing. You're all invited. Can't have beer in the courthouse though, so don't bring it. All right, moving along. This is it.
Oh, we don't want this. Sorry.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna hold a hearing.
So then you
so
guys
if
are
that
voting no.
resolution says we decline to hold a hearing, then that resolution has to be scrapped.
Bring it back next week.
We shall.
If I'm the only one, then I can vote no and others can vote yes, but
No, we could have a hearing.
you don't have to do it for me.
We're not. I'd love to have it here.
Big beautiful hearing.
Moving on. Resolution 41925, a resolution awarding the bid for the 2025 Madison County paving project.
And this was tabled?
Mm-hmm.
Why was this tabled?
So we had a lengthy discussion about the background of spring water, so that's what this was pertaining to. So. And Brian answered questions very well.
So we got three project improvements.
Yep.
Agreed upon as part of that agreement, it's great. From 1.1 million in road improvements. The road leaves it optional if that gets done by the developer, if that gets done by the county. I like the idea of having greater control of the work, getting better bid pricing, enabling us to get more product down for the money. So I agree to do the pre-project improvements as a county contract. Spring water solar will pay for those improvement factor in the process of processing a check, for that work. So we'll have that in hand, to be able to pay for it. So,
And one of my questions that you answered was if the project, for whatever reason, didn't proceed, and you said you believe every indication is that it will proceed. But if it did not, and the road improvements had already been completed, we would not be on the hook.
correct. Not only though, if those, that would be money lost to the developer, just like I indicated in my email to you, just like, on the engineering and equipment procurement that they have already invested in.
That would just be a double plus.
Plus,
Okay.
to that point, you get them done up front. If something were to go sideways with the project later on, we're not forced to act on the surety, you know, which is not an easy process. It's there, but it is a burden on the county and township. That work's done on the ground and it close.
So I'll just, state again, and I'd like the minutes to reflect that I opposed spring water. I would have opposed it at the time. It was approved by the Power Siting Board in 2022. So there's literally no mechanism to stop it at this point. So I wish that was the case. I wish that wasn't the case, but since it's gonna happen, I agree that better to do the improvements and prevent the roads from being destroyed than not. So that's the decision before us.
Can I move to approve?
I'll second.
The first and the second, any other discussion? And I'd just like to make a comment also for the record, that project was approved pre-Senate Bill 52 when that decision was not in the hands of the county commissioner. So it's easy to say you would have opposed that project at the time. We did not have a say on those projects. If we did, we would have opposed it as well. So to say, you oppose it now, that is fine. We have been clear on our position, I believe, since 2022 or 2023, when we took action making the unincorporated area of the county a restricted area for any wind and solar projects. So I just want to be clear that as soon as we were able to take action on those projects, we did so swiftly.
And I just one comment on that is there is an ad hoc member, right? So, and I know Brian, last week you mentioned you thought that it was Commissioner Wallace who was the ad hoc member and voted for it. And I went back and looked, that was not the case. It was Commissioner Forrest, but he did vote for it as the board's ad hoc member.
But that was with the board's support. That was not, in my understanding anyway. That was not, Mark's personal decision. His support of solar in general aside, that developer was in here dozens of times. That project was subject of discussion in public meetings for over a year. We didn't have people in here, and I was, I can count on both my hands how many meetings I've missed in the last 10 years. We did not have public opposition to that project in this room. In fact, you've got local landowners that are participants. These are not absentee landowners that are part of that project. So,
And
it was a subject of discussion for a while. I don't feel like it was, in the or behind closed doors by any stretch of imagination. And, I had long discussions with the commissioners about this project because it was on the tail end of we were dealing with big plane. We were in construction on Foxborough, Madison Fields. How are we going to deal with this project? How are we going to put our storm, use the tools that we have to handle the concerns with it. So
Did they also have public meetings here at the library? I know that
there was one at the school,
Yeah.
at Power Siting.
Yep.
So I had discussions with landowners about concerns. So through all those discussions and then taken our concerns and our regulations to the developer. We work through, okay, what are construction practices that the county's not going to allow? You're going to stay away from waterways. You're going to replace tile mains. You're going to retile the whole site if it needs it. You're going to have setbacks from drainage ways. You're going to analyze the hydrology of that entire site so that we know from an engineering standpoint what the stormwater and drainage impacts are to the neighbors. How are you going to get to the site? Well, you're saying you're going to come down from 665. Well, I can tell you right now, your trucks are going to go with GPS sensor. So how are you going to control that? Talk about having a off-site staging area for those trucks to report to, so they don't get off route. We know that we can reduce roads that are cut throughs to help us enforce them. My point being, all the lessons we learned with 3 previous projects, we've applied to this one.
Even above and beyond that, when I found out that there was 4 people from the siting board, I think it was 4 people, maybe one more, I don't remember, that oversee all the projects in Ohio, we took steps to hire an engineer that reported to you that they paid for to oversee the individual projects. How many did that?
Counties.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're the only.
I know.
Yeah.
So,
If I called any of the.
yeah,
If I called any of the compliance section guys for power siting
Yeah.
right now, they'd pick up the phone, hey, what's going on, Brian? What's the issue? What do you need? Back to the roads too, really from an engineering standpoint, the only one they were required to upgrade was Cottsville, Georgia. I asked for an upgrade on the rest of the roads and they agreed to it. So really, they doubled their spend on the road beyond what their traffic showed that they needed.
Yeah, just again, I'd say I appreciate all the work you've done. I know you put a ton of time and my primary point was simply that just like Oak Run, this board eventually passed a resolution against it. Commissioner Walson, as the ad hoc member, voted against it. I think the same could have been done here, and I would have advocated for that as well. I know the Fairfield Township trustees opposed it, right? Wayne Francis went to the power siting board, and he voted against it as the ad hoc member. So that was my only point. I just wanted to be clear on it, but I do appreciate.
Well, and background too, and again, I don't sit on that board, but I go to all the meetings, right? In my view, Oak Run is a completely different animal than these others. You don't have local landowners in it. Big swath of ground, in 3 different townships. And I think there's nuance to be had on siting on these things too. So, all these other projects we had local landowners in. The rules change at state level. Our experience changed as we dove in and figured these out and figured out, how we can apply our local regulations, what was it, that's what. And again, spring water, my understanding and, my feel that I got not only from the entire board at that time, but, everyone else in that came to these meetings. It really seemed like we were getting to a place where we could build on these projects without having the major issues that we had in the first one.
can we vote now?
Can I have a quick comment?
I guess.
Did you sign in?
You sign it afterwards.
Can I get my road contract approved there?
So, that's the only thing I have a request from Pleasant Township is that, Brian has talked about this before, I know Brian's put things in place again. I don't know if there's funding that's needed for the sheriff's department or whatever in that group, but we need to figure out enforcement because Pleasant Township took kind of the brunt of some of that traffic that's, you follow people wherever you want to go, and then once those guys get a shorter path, they just put more on their truck and take off and call it, well, we're in the bullseye again. There's a large amount of gravel that was created from the state project that I'm assuming, that these contractors are gonna go get the shortest path, which happens to run right through our township, so.
Are they processing the gravel there?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they'll use it or not, but my understanding is that state funding has not been approved to finish the rest of 71 yet. So I'm assuming that pile of gravel that's sitting on ag ground right now is gonna be consumed somewhere. So I just hate for the transportation to go through our road. We've already got Robinson Road, which I wouldn't run farm truck across, and then you have Anderson Antioch was the only viable road, and realistically, that's the shortcut. So if you're gonna go from that pile of gravel to over there, that's the shortcut.
So again, what we'll do, we'll put load restrictions on those roads.
That works well. I appreciate the sign, but if no one's enforcing it, my point is, if we need to, if there's funding, I wasn't done there. So my point is, if we could have some funding, for the sheriff to actually have someone do some more enforcement out there, I think that would be appreciated. Because you didn't have that on the other projects.
Madison Fields, I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt, but real quick, Madison
Hold on, Brian,
Fields.
you're all right.
Madison
We get a
Fields.
drink.
We don't get in the boxing ring.
Yeah. They,
I
They did
I'm
contribute.
I'm glad you're here. I just want to.
Just to figure out who's gonna talk, let's box it out. Oh, geez.
I'm done.
No, but to your point, we've got one weight enforcement officer in the county. We had 3 projects, we had 3 solar projects going on at once. He couldn't cover all of them. The sheriff clearly does not have the deputies on hand for all that special duty unless those projects are hiring them, as special duty, which they have. And they've been encouraged to do so. It's not perfect. But, with this being the only solar project under construction at once, our weight enforcement officer will be able to dedicate a good amount of time.
Well, the one on 56 had deputies there all the time. Did they?
Yeah, and Madison Fields,
They paid for
they
it.
hired them off duty.
I'm not complaining.
So I'm just saying,
Funds available.
right,
Can we make sure
if it
that we
becomes,
have that?
well, I guarantee you, if it becomes a problem, there will be funds available.
It's already been a problem.
Well, this project here,
I'm just saying this.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm responsible for
because
the.
we had the same problem with Blade Run, right? Because Amazon was going off of 56, driving to Blade Run.
All of it.
Yeah,
A lot of it's because of the
They did.
7-1 construction. I get it. Those trucks are shotgun all
And
over
then
the
when you
place.
got drivers that don't read signs because they can't, that becomes even a bigger problem.
the weight enforcement is the only mechanism
Yeah.
that you have.
Well, we also, from the county standpoint,
Yes,
but, the RUMA identifies roads are allowed to use.
absolutely.
If they don't use those roads, then from Power Sighting Board's perspective, they're in violation of the RUMA. That becomes something the Power Sighting Board works back on.
And Savion purchases or provided the funding for 2 digital signs as well as special duty officer. But Madison Fields was under construction. To my knowledge, sheriff's not here. I would definitely ask him how that was handled, but as far as funds go, that company were willing to.
And as far as damages go, even if there's damages to roads outside the RUMA, the developer still on the hook.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw repair money from Savion on Thomas Road, that was a cut through, for Madison Fields.
Yeah.
So we're not limited to just, when it comes to your road damages, seeking repairs for that. We're not just limited to the roads identified in the road. Yeah, we're gonna keep our eye on it.
I think you could stretch it out into, you know, their certificate for a qualified energy project and so forth, so on, the Department of Development. I'll bore everybody with the details, but as far as local enforcement goes, it's difficult for a deputy to pull over a truck on a road, because they're allowed to be on the road unless they're repaired. Again, really say you're not supposed to be here, and then here's your ticket, so it's, wish I could, but don't have that the way they do. So trying to prevent the traffic is put those signs out there and say, hey, you're supposed to go this way.
We got park board in 3 minutes. I'd like to quickly move through these resolutions if we can, as best we can. Then we have a first and a second on this issue. I think we've discussed it at great length. If we now do the roll call, please.
Mr. Shea,
Yes.
Dr. Zanikis,
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes.
Okay, resolution 42125, a resolution reappointing a member of the Madison County Rural Zoning Commission.
So moved?
Second. The first and the second. Any other discussion? None heard. Roll call, please.
Mr. Shea,
Yes.
Dr. Zanikis,
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes.
We also have 420, which is the reappointment to this Board of Zoning Appeals.
That is still tabled.
It is still
It has not been posted.
And that is by policy, not statute, the statute.
420 table. Got it.
Resolution 42325, presented on behalf of Jennifer Hunter, the auditor, approving the invoices.
So moved.
Second?
We have a first and a second. Any other discussion? None heard. Roll call, please.
Mr. Shea,
Yeah.
Dr. Zanikis,
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes.
Resolution 42425, a resolution approving budget adjustments for the Madison County Auditor's Office.
So moved?
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any other discussion? None heard. Roll call, please.
Mr. Shea,
Yes.
Dr. Zanikis,
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes.
Resolution 42525, a resolution appropriating the Madison County Health Insurance line.
So moved?
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any other discussion? None heard. Roll call, please.
Mr. Shea,
Yes.
Dr. Zanikis,
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes, ma'am.
Resolution 42625, a resolution approving travel request for the Board of Elections staff to attend the Ohio Association of Election Winter.
So moved?
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any other discussion? None heard. Roll call, please.
Mr. Shea,
Yes.
Dr. Zanikis,
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes.
Resolution 42725, a resolution approving an adjustment to dog tag fees for 2026.
And there's no increase, correct?
Correct.
So maybe just change the title to holding dog tag fees the same, or it says an adjustment, so that's confusing. So moved?
Okay. First and a second. Any other discussion? None heard. Roll call, please.
Mr. Shea,
Yes.
Dr. Zanikis,
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes.
Resolution 42825, a resolution approving the zoning, if this is coming, do you want to say that?
Yeah.
Very good.
So I did look at that, it would be the liquor control's responsibility to hold the public hearing if you have objections to the permit.
It's only if you have objections.
Well, that is your mechanism to object to the permit, I guess is what I'm
There's a
saying.
public hearing is the, I'll just have to, I'd like to read the.
Yeah, I'll send you the link.
Yeah, we can always go back to it next week. I
Yeah.
gotta read the.
When did we receive the notice?
For the liquor license. Weeks ago, I'm not real sure.
It says you have, at least 30 and up to 60 days to determine whether you object to the permit. So.
Yeah, you did.
What's the status on you talking about the solar, what's the, around 29, 30?
It's got Supreme Court right now.
Yeah.
The oral arguments are October 28th. And then they'll probably make a decision within 6 to 8 months.
Great.
We're basically all the branches.
No, it's still recorded.
Right. Not a lot of human science.
About what? Yeah, 30, at least 30 and up to 60 days to determine if you object to the permit. The county commissioners or other local authorities object to the permit, they can request a hearing.
So
I think that
we tabled it, yeah. So it sounds like the hearing is if you object. I didn't,
I didn't object.
I think you
I didn't-
request a hearing one way or another.
yeah, I wasn't objecting either. I didn't know if the hearing was a standard part of the process that we were waiving, or if the hearing is only done if there's an objection.
I see
So
what
it's
you're
fine.
Yeah, it's
So what are you doing?
Well,
discussing on next Tuesday. Right,
yeah.
it just says, commissioners of local authorities. Well, it says, object to the permit, they can request a hearing.
So that's
And then,
very different from most product. So could you send?
I will. And in the past, it's been. Here it says, here's the permit approved.
Yeah, I understand. I didn't know, if, again, if that was a
And I think
standard.
the sheriff is going to try to, I guess it's.
He may, it appears to me that all local authorities, yeah, I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I was just saying that it hasn't been something that has been looked into in the past.
Well, that language is.
But if you request a hearing and they have a hearing, do they just approve it? You don't have to answer that now. That's just a question for Jason.
The DOLC will notify both the applicant and the objector of the results. If the objection is overruled, the legislative body can file an appeal with the Ohio Liquor Control within 30 days. If the objection is sustained, the permit application is rejected.
Chris and Thomas.
Rob, I think you want to let Greg in or something. Greg is supposed to be part of this meeting and
You sent him the link that you provided.
signs we use, so.
Yeah, no, we use your occupiers.
I looked, we didn't get an invite this year. I mean, typically it's the opening
I guess
ceremony.
Yeah.
Passes, so.
And, yeah, the Democrat, that's right.
Oh, so maybe
She's got.
interesting. We're waiting on, is Greg going to connect? Do I know? Greg, you intend to connect?
Intends, so we've heard.
Yeah. Guess we'll give him another couple of minutes, and if not, we'll begin without him, because it's 9:37. If you want to call Greg, text Greg. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Well, Wayne's gonna give him a quick text or call. Yeah, he's usually pretty prompt. But I'm just gonna give it another minute here and then start.
And send them another, but
Did you send him the text? Yeah. We'll give him 1 minute and then we'll get started. And if he joins, he can chime in.
I think it's all the material you want to start.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get started. We'll call to order the September 16th meeting of the Madison County Board of Park District Board. Everybody should have received a copy of the minutes and the financial report.
Move to approve the minutes and the financial report.
Second.
The first and the second, any other discussion? Heard, roll call please.
Mr. Shea,
Yes.
Dr. Zemeckis,
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes. All right, partnership reports, we'll start with the Friends.
Okay, and Greg has several items here he's gonna wanna talk about, he comes online.
Yeah.
And I can go over, a little bit, but I just thought, well, I'll go ahead and tell you on some more regular things. The counts continue to be high, both on Roberts Pass at 5,749 just in August. And at the Prairie Grass Trailhead, 3,938. That's a combination of pedestrian and cyclists. Our year-to-date count for campers is continuing to be high, 217 year-to-date. And we're making use of the new service, or they call service that we have rather than using the police dispatcher currently, and that's confirming some of our thinking in the past that there's significant more campers than what we have reported that actually record by giving us a card. So it looks like it's 25, maybe 25% or so higher than what we're thinking. So anyway, camping continues to be fairly high compared to last several recent years, let's put it that way. And it usually continues to say high through October, then suddenly cuts off in November, first part of November. We do have some new signage placed out in the camping area as we're trying to educate the public that this is intended to be a camping area for through campers and so on, through travelers on the trail, not necessarily hideout for homeless and so on and so forth. But we continue to deal with that issue. Also want to bring your attention about our pedestrian bridge out there that connects the trailhead to the senior center and the rest of it. Needs some repair. And so Alan Knowles has purchased some new timber and so on, and we're gonna be overseeing a group of friends group to rebuild the structure of it in October. Wanted to be aware that that's going on. Currently, he does have it temporarily reinforced and so on, so we don't have an issue, but just wanted to FYI. And, we did, and this is on some of the items that Greg had called in, and we did put 2 new waste cans over at the community mural park. And, Matco has agreed to go ahead and empty them tonight and so on. The pollinator garden continues to draw interest. And as we mentioned here, also there's a collaboration now starting between the Madison County Master Gardeners, Matco, and the Friends Group to help maintain that and so on, manage it going forward. There was some, yeah. I think you all were aware about the closing of the Gap Trail, that there was a connection between the railroad and our Duke. My understanding is the decision was to be made this month of whether or not their board was going to be releasing that. Abandoned, making it released or making it available for abandonment. And I don't know if that. I don't think that meeting has gone on yet, although there's some discussion here, like on the 12th, there was a discussion, but I don't know what that result is.
Well, I can just speak to that since I was on that call. So that was just an opportunity to go over some things internally. That was not making the decision, because it's not our decision to make. So I just, had the opportunity to meet some of the consultants. They, verified they believe the closing price will be somewhere in the range of 700 to 750. Reiterated that they do not expect any carrying dollars. Well, they need to be fronted, but that they expect the full amount of that to be reimbursed.
Wasn't there a little talk too about potentially sharing it if they weren't gonna totally abandon?
Well, there was a discussion for the park between Walnut Street and Main Street. And because of their continued need to use that for a period of time, that there would be a much smaller section available for that piece of it. So whatever cost difference that might make, because we're needing, rather than taking the whole roughly 100 feet, whatever that's gonna be. So it'd be a little bit reduced price, but I'm sure that's figured in on that. 700 to 750,000 probably.
Yeah, I think with that, they're hoping for closer to the 700.
Oh, there was, I think we mentioned at the last meeting that a security camera has been placed at the restroom at Bergman's Trail. Keep an eye on the use of the warm water tap there. And, yeah, we're finding some people.
Oh, the homeless need a shower too?
That's right. But it's not as much as what we thought. It happens, let's put it that way. So that's one of the things that we're monitoring as we go on, living with the issue of homelessness in the community.
Is there shower out there?
But that's about all I have.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Engineer's office?
Regular maintenance items are ongoing. One thing kind of unusual right now is we're working on trying to get the demo on a crack sealing product to try to fill in some of the wider cracks. The 1.5 to 4 inch cracks that are showing up in various places. So we hope to try to get them to address that over time.
Very good.
Got the grant application out there, for the culvert replacement, what do we expect to hear back from them?
We expect to hear on the grant hopefully by the end of October.
Thank you. Oh. Might be soil and water is not present. There's no old business, new business. I don't know if anybody has any other new business to come before the board. Any other discussions? I think our friend Ray may not be joining us, but we'll get an update from him next time, hopefully. Yep. Anything else for the good of the order for the Park District meeting? Going once, going twice. Park District meeting adjourned. The next meeting will be October 21st, 2025. Thanks, everyone. We will now resume our normal county commissioners meeting. Looks like we'll take a brief recess till 10 o'clock for our next item on the agenda. Quick 10-minute break. Should have put something there. During that. It'll happen, so we get, and when it does, it'll be fine in Bernstein, and I can tell you. Not one. So how should be really possible? How can be that? Well, I don't. It's the best, once you have.
You guys here? Yes.
Yeah.
We brought this.
Yeah, but I.
I had about between 2 to 4.
Yeah, Roberto.
Because I had a machine, and we had machines in our room.
Roberto got after it. I'm tired of going up in my room having a discussion. I guess you gotta be well capitalized.
That's true. Now, you decide what model.
There's one house.
That's good.
I
That was like, it's frustrating.
Yes.
It wasn't the cups and all.
Yeah, this is the rounds, they look different.
Correct, yeah, that's the dome shape.
Yeah, about that big.
I couldn't find, so I made it. Which is interesting.
Where's sheriff? No sheriff. Where the hell is the horse riding?
Oh, yeah.
Or is he naturally? Nicola.
Nick said it, the jury.
Years, so if that's not involved, makes them get around.
I think, so I bought stuff to make this.
What's in it?
You
I will, I will see, if you don't go, I will.
It's just rice crackers and peanuts with some flavor. I'm sure I'm not gonna say it's.
Yeah, just some seasoning on it.
It's not hot, it's just salt, maybe it's
Just
sesame.
sesame, salt, and something like that.
I made the milk rug. Fresh tomato, sauce with pork. I would do that again.
Yeah. I don't even know what I had last time.
But they're easy to make, it's just, it makes, but they'll become hard. These were like flat. Swallow.
And that one. A quarter after 5. Stephanie was there looking at his roof.
No, was it? I know.
And then the boat leaked about half hour.
What do you say?
If I stay on, you forget.
Backward the roof. How bad that roof was put on.
Those things are going to, they don't. Come and see my,
They slapped it.
Basically, what.
come and see my.
I saw your roof.
I'm very happy.
Same thought will go.
The only problem, we don't have to, the only problem is we haven't raised yet, so I don't know.
Oh, I did remove the water in my herb garden. So I was curious about that.
I'm the one.
Not
King.
Joe.
Oh, man.
And they went.
And they what?
And they went.
Yeah.
That quick.
Yeah, they don't last very long. Ray was, devouring pickled plums.
Really? Is that good?
Oh, they're portable. Yeah, he just loves it for some reason.
They're terrible. If you like a very salty,
My wife.
salty, sour. But there's salty, it's like. He was even by the gun.
Like a football likes these sleepers. It's kind of salty.
Yeah. See, it's great.
Yeah.
I like long things, you know.
Well, yeah, like in the salad.
Yeah, I mean, a few of them are, yeah. On the dish.
But when the kids make keepers, they use the. And also, I guess the whole real kind of keep that. They don't put a lot of salt in it, but it doesn't really, but it's really good. Idiot. So we're gonna do it 5 times a week.
From how passes to get.
That's how we just get everyone to our ideas and that's.
So we have our meeting.
You don't have to name on.
I think
I want lunch.
Antula told, well, that's what I was thinking, Antula,
Just in town.
thought she had it in this.
Maybe since the first one.
I wasn't in mine.
Because I didn't find it.
Certain back. It was that really in town. Not too soon.
Tomorrow.
Still busy, steady.
So, yeah, there you go.
So that's not their deal, that's not what like.
We're sort of piggybacking off.
It's already been feeling bad, but I will. Good. It's ready for Thursday.
To get more.
What? The treatment. Just know that I don't feel good for a couple weeks.
How often do you?
Every month.
Just once a month?
And the pill once a day, that's what kills you.
Yeah.
You start taking out everything. So we've been putting dogs on here. And then I've done somebody. They're, and even critical disease, so humans, you know, I mean, studies. It does interfere with certain things. Causes can't think of their listeners, it's just, you know, I haven't been extensive enough to make any recommendations. But the data that they got from medical science. Does show promise, this, they have to figure it out. And that's not a drug that, it's true for humans. It does have a different way of it. But shit, they're selling it like it's healthy. And it's not regulated, which I don't understand.
Your home brother, now that you got settled in.
Yeah.
Is there any differentiating?
I get my own TSC.
Tax.
I don't understand how it's not regulated.
All she's coming in. Yeah, we made a number of requests. Has the request been satisfied? I mean, not really. So why is she showing up and both requests that you had?
She,
Well, I know that, but like, we have requests. Where's the data?
I mean, she did send, which I forwarded the email. You know, her budget,
I looked at it.
it's her budget.
So you put that on and then what you saw?
Yeah, she's, they have a 10-slide PowerPoint. I've got that. Well, there, I think she's looking at about.
To know and everything.
That's all. $1,000, but I didn't use, I didn't do anything. I put something. And it sounds like that they typically receive them.
By state, somehow that goes. The dangers of things.
When it costs $50 to a round.
Make sure you do the same thing.
We say, I'm gonna do that. In the future. Some of the comes in one minute.
It was a way.
That's why we probably make the bid.
But when you go like this time of the year, that's when you're buying. Budgets all over the place, but I love to see the corners. Good put up. Pretty neat, pretty neat.
Cool, this thing, Rob, that means you don't have any ambulance to open up and say
Nice.
stuff.
Technology at its finest.
You can sit here and wait on the down.
I wish West maybe did the same thing.
What's that?
The CBDG
Oh,
grant.
yeah.
I wish he would do it electronically. You know, he's struggling with it, and they find bricks of
Well,
those.
we crossed 5 billion.
Yeah, it's always fun.
Oh, that is I look forward to him coming in the door. And the opener's so dull, you know, you gotta just.
That's fine. Yeah.
That's right. Great problem.
Town too.
I love it.
So, you know, geez, I can't see who they are until. I think. Put that line.
And when you email Amy,
Been very sad, Jim Burrows here. 3 months, very sad.
Yeah, the winner here most of the time. We can
Details.
They said, what, 3 months before you, when did you lock the toll?
oh, for
I stopped there.
I mean, when do you need a toll for?
the church are just so heavy.
That's all it's there.
No, unless it's your big toe, you don't really,
Your little toe does.
and it's a little to whack it off. I think you need that.
You gotta be able to plant and.
They'll push it.
Let's give them a prosthesis.
That was better.
Cadaver.
Lop that one off, put a new one.
I didn't get that 30, you know.
All right, it is now 10 a.m. This is the time set aside for the bid opening for replacement of the Dyer Road Bridge. I'll turn it over to the engineer's office.
Thank you very much. We'll take just a second to download the bids here. We do have two bids that have come in. We've got the Ohio Bridge Corporation doing business as US Bridge. So first bidder. Oh, second. While we're waiting, the engineer's estimate for this project for the base alternate was right at $1.5 million. And we did include an alternate for a single span truss to see where that number came in. And that estimate, I think, was in the 1.9 range. So it's still downloading. It's not plugged for super fast internet, but we count. Okay, the Outer Bridge Corporation, the bid total is $1,592,489.08. 1592489.08. We'll have to see how they dealt with the alternate. Waiting on our second bidder, which is Eagle Bridge to download. Just for reference, Eagle has the contract with Leyland Bridge. Yet to start construction. Eagle Bridge company came in at $1,663,000 and no dollars or no cents. So 1,663,000.00. So we'll do an analysis of those and hope to have an award recommendation next week before the meeting.
Very good.
Thank
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Appreciate
it. Sleeping, David.
Take a bullet head up.
Thank you, Brian.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Wow.
Good. I should be able to actually get down to, I would make sure that I would find those there. Make sure. That's probably yeah. Yes. Change. Yes.
Yeah. Almost, yeah, Brian. Thanks, man.
Buy some of those people. Yeah.
You guys take care.
All right.
Good to you. Be tomorrow night.
Absolutely.
Are you headed to the farm finance review?
I wish. No, I've got more Zoom sessions and,
Where are you zooming?
with our, I'll tell you, I'm Zooming with our, planning team for the township.
We got important stuff to do.
We're trying.
Good.
I'll see you guys. Take care. You too. I'll sit.
Don't let me have.
Thanks for what you do.
Tony, my grandchildren and husband are out for science for the day.
Yeah. I usually try to go on Thursday, pretty much most of the day today, but today's not gonna make it. But I don't know if I could do it Thursday.
Thursday's my husband's favorite day to go to.
Yeah. A lot of people.
Yeah. Although every time he goes, we end up with some big purchase that I didn't know about.
I rarely.
What type of purchase?
We got a little tractor last time. Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Have a good one.
The bigger. Bye, Kevin. Gotta go.
Go for it. Okay, I've seen the difference. I have to avoid that area when we go with the kids.
Very weather was gonna show up in Asheville.
Mhm.
To speak. So that from the sponsor.
He's gonna show up.
Yeah, on all the days we don't go there.
He's there tonight.
Yeah, and Ashton.
It was
The
actually,
Democrat. So I forgot.
oh, Amy acting. Interesting. I wonder what time he's gonna be.
Well, usually the governor speaks. I don't know if he would speak, but I would think that he would be there. Usually the governor speaks. If our school speaks, the high department back, definitely. Maybe not even so much for us, but those three usually speak. That's it. And then everybody in government is there. That's the main. We did pretty thank you.
Surprised that they can't even speak. I mean, I wouldn't think much.
I don't think he's gonna speak. The only reason I know is because he gets and told me that he was gonna be there. So they share his notified me. That's the only thing. And I'm sure if he's got a web page, it's probably on the website.
They were trying. Towers, events like that at this point.
You know, get a bullet in it.
Also, that's okay.
Yeah, I'm sure he's got more security than. Oh,
Well, now I would think,
yeah.
he didn't used to. I was with him at the Freedom Fest in Plain City. I've been with longer. I mean, there was a few hundred people, so it wasn't a massive.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's how you care. My kids were, I didn't think my kids followed stuff like that. But they sure do. That's how I found out. I was working, you know, and my brother. Well, I thought, you know, the kids, yeah, they knew. They predicted was gonna be a training school in somewhere.
People tell me you sponsored something, but it has. Here's my input. Oh, I didn't know I sponsored a a hole at the start on it.
Yeah, this is the first thing. $50. Oh, very nice.
So did the trip stuff.
Trips. You mean that, yeah. I mean, it's not fun, but it was, you know, it wasn't as bad as I thought. It wasn't as hateful as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I couldn't, I would.
Going backwards, that's the big one there.
Going back was better? Oh, I thought you meant that going back was worse.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna sleep on the way home, but
You know, he's
Shorter and
he's
easier.
not right, I can't look at it. It's not-
Well, the only reason I thought he was gonna say going back was worse was because the guy next to him had his shoulders like.
Actually, it's basically me and next person on my back.
Oh, did you?
You do still need to.
Yeah, it moved.
Like, really.
or any open seats,
That said it was an open season.
I can-
You can't back from different flight. Yeah, our flight came back, was full, I mean, see them as lunch.
no,
Maybe not.
I don't fit in, so too comfortably.
My brother went to Greece for 2 weeks.
I agree.
He didn't take one of those big ass planes, I don't know what they're called, he took a smaller plane. And then still had it. Never said it. Two, instead of 4, 6, 4, whatever you guys were talking. It was 3, 4, 3. Okay.
So it's a tricky
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, that's, he said that one down from there, he said that flight was beautiful. Sorry. United.
United, well,
I didn't know that was big.
but we just there, Canada.
Yeah,
Quality cuisine.
I heard that was not as good as the other.
Canada? I don't have good experience with American.
Yeah.
Delta was terrible.
Yeah, Canada is one of the higher. It was the way to there.
You talking about
Huh?
horrible food on the way out.
That's what I heard.
I'm judging the food.
Well, yeah, but the plane is the same plane. The pilots are the same thing, but that's.
The worst experience when it comes to boarding, process, and just everything.
You think back is much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I must have requested that from the police sergeant.
Yes, it's probably lots of food you gotta watch.
Hmm?
There's something you have to watch
Where?
on TV.
Pick up the road that's not.
No, I have to look to see the stream.
On Emirates?
The problem is that.
About Emirates?
It is 10:15. This is the time set aside for the zoning amendment. I'll turn it over to Dennis Payne, Madison County Planning and Zoning Administrator.
Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you. Commissioners and people who are here. First, the only case really is Charles Gold, CO of Ron Wynn, rezoning PZ 2025-01. It's rezoning from A1 to C2, located there at 214 South Jefferson Avenue, Plain City, Ohio 43064. The reason why they're doing this is because it's an existing business already operating on that property. And for some reason, it was spot zone. It's the only one within that area that's still A1, but everything else is C2. So the subdivision review board didn't have any concerns with it, any problems with it changing it. They also went in front of the regional on July 8th this year and moved to approve the request zoning changes. And then on August 19th of 2025, rural zoning also moved to approve requests of zoning changes. And I don't see any issues of also changing it to make it, match with the other neighbors that's also C2. That would prevent any spots.
Very good. Any other questions, concerns, comments? Very good.
You want to read the resolution?
Resolution 42825, a resolution approving a zoning change from A1 to C2 for parcel number 02-0027300.
I'd vote to approve.
Second.
Well, first and a second, any other discussion? None heard, roll call please.
Mr. Shea?
Yes.
Dr. Zelukas?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes. Easy enough.
Thanks, John.
Dennis? Okay, just making sure you saw the agenda item for 11 o'clock.
Prepared. I'm ready.
Robert's action.
Where?
Oh, but it said you're. Yeah.
Let's see. Well, they're usually here in Madison early. I said they're usually here in Madison and usually early.
Yes.
Well, there's a question.
I think you were supposed to. I think you were supposed to have, but you have there.
That's me.
It is indeed.
Should start. Installed last week, so,
Somebody started on the building.
I'm sorry,
Building.
first building.
What?
Oh, here pretty soon, Dan sent paint samples to me just yesterday, in fact. Do you still want to be dazzled? Everything can.
Yes. Come on in. It is your time to be here.
Hey, Ron.
Chairs are heavy. Yes. I like we.
If I could make a little more noise.
They love it downstairs.
Right, very good. I will read the resolution proclaiming September 17th, from the 23rd, 2025 as Constitution Week. Whereas the Constitution of the United States of America, the guardian of our liberties, embodies the principles of limited government, separation of powers, and the rights of all citizens. And whereas September 17th, 2025 marks the 238th anniversary of the framing of the Constitution by the Constitutional Convention. And whereas it is fitting and proper to recognize this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, and to celebrate the enduring strength that is provided to our nation through times of trial and triumph. And whereas the public law designates September 17th through 23 of each year as Constitution Week, calling upon citizens to reaffirm their loyalty to the United States of America and reflect on the privileges and responsibilities of citizenship. And whereas the Daughters of the American Revolution have faithfully promoted the ideals of freedom and liberty through education and patriotism, encouraging communities to honor the legacy of the Constitution. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of Madison County, Ohio, that the week of September 17th to the 23rd, 2025, be and is hereby proclaimed as Constitution Week in Madison County, and that all citizens are urged to study and reflect on the importance of the Constitution and the rights it secures for us as Americans. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be presented to the Daughters of the American Revolution in recognition of their continuing dedication to the preservation of our nation's heritage and ideas.
So moved.
Second. Well, first and second, any other discussion? None heard, roll call please.
Mr. Scheck,
Yes.
Dr. Zemeckis,
Yes.
Mr. Wells.
Yes. Very good, thank you, thank you for being here. Yeah, we appreciate you being here, thank you for all your work.
Take a picture?
We want to get a picture.
That's right,
And the gentleman,
well, thank you, appreciate that. We'll be happy to take a picture.
you got your pen. I do. I got mine, but we're better with getting them sent.
Would you like to come back here?
Yeah.
What's this?
You guys, it's been in.
Yeah, good. Overall, you're. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, have a city.
You guys have less than something. Constitution, what you get with that?
Yeah, that is much easier.
Okay,
There you go. There we go.
but this is the high speed.
Stand tall.
Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I took several. Thank you.
I'm sure it's wonderful. Whatever we do there, thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Yes, thank you very much for allowing us to do this. We appreciate it. Thank you. I'm just gonna make compliments from saying.
Over there. Yeah, she'll get you a copy. So
Oh,
make
she's
a
making a copy. Okay, all right. Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here.
I got it. This is yours.
Yeah.
So you moved it over this way.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
Or, no, like, closet. How I say you probably need.
My desk was over there, since he's the best, right up against mine, we were falling apart. Had a great one.
Thing is hot.
Take myself and I'll take it. Other sermons. Take it for granted.
Right, that's true.
Were you here?
Barely.
Barely.
I think I started, but we did the upgrade sort of shortly after. I was just
More than like 1970 last bit, something held together.
We were meeting for a time, and
Oh, downstairs, yeah.
this was getting down.
Oh.
So I didn't bring anything to this room before.
Oh, you didn't? You know, with the old chalkboard.
Oh, I did. I said I had a few, but I wasn't very good. Oh, yeah, I definitely recall it before.
It's pretty bad.
This thing,
Where?
3/4 with it.
Where?
Yeah, this already.
Yeah, I mean, I think we started the renovations in 2020, or the renovations in 2021.
Yeah.
Pretty shortly after I started.
There's more drywall screws and they're braced in the house.
Could have worked in it all day. Let's talk about my PTSD.
That's right, I agree with that.
North of.
You had to visit in the actual office.
Oh, not only that.
Oh, and the other one was right at the.
It was to the left of me there for 4 years.
I forgot that, that was before the office, that was there. Wow.
Yeah, but you know, when you get a turn. That was hilarious.
You ladies want to come to the front?
Hey, Daryl, you wanted to Ashley Cooper, is she a clerk for the township or?
Yeah, was it,
Printed out the slides, would you rather have paper or?
Sure, you can take a picture copy, I got them.
It just has her name on it.
I'm gonna give you mine. Sorry. I scribbled on a couple of pages.
Thank you so much.
And then should I come up there too?
Yeah, if you'd like, yeah, can be done. Yes, and this is the time we had set aside to discuss the Fayette Madison County Transit. We'll give you a moment to get those slides on the screen and then we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey,
Please proceed.
thanks for seeing this today.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
I brought with me Laura Brown. She is with RLS and Associates, who has been doing the assessment for transportation in Fayette and Madison counties. And she can articulate this much better than I. And so I thought it would be helpful, since she's been doing the assessment, to have her come and share.
Fantastic.
Great. Well, thanks again for having me. As Joy said, my name is Laura Brown and I work for RLS and Associates, and we are a transportation consulting company that does just this. We work mostly in rural communities and some large urbans, but mostly this is what we enjoy. This is what we usually do. Our RLS is headquartered in Dayton, Ohio, but I am actually from here. I grew up in Mount Sterling, Madison Plains.
Very nice.
Yes,
Yeah.
family's here, so it's really a pleasure to be here. I sincerely mean that with y'all. This is important to me as well. So we have a little information. Joy and I have been working side by side for a while now. And we started a year ago, probably, when things were a little different and before the budget changes for ODOT. So when we started out, we were looking at what we can do in Fayette and Madison County with one budget. And then just recently we found out it's changed. So there's been ODOT receives federal and state, well, they receive federal funding that goes to the rural communities in Ohio. And they have to split that pot across all the rural transit systems. And now it's being split in a lot of different, more ways than it was before, basically. So everyone gets a little less funding. So that created a funding gap for Fayette and Madison County Transit. So we have a dilemma because we have this important transportation service that more and more people are starting to rely on, and limited funding to operate it and keep it on the road. So we're here today to talk to you about just Madison County's part of it and the service that you're receiving. And I have a couple of things. One is just what we're doing today. Two is what we would like to do, small steps and how that might work. So we'll go through the slides a little bit, and I'm happy to answer any questions if you have. So first, I hope I won't use transit terminology. If I do say something that doesn't line up, just interrupt me. But one word we'll use is demand response transportation, and that's kind of what you have now, where you call in advance, right? You book a trip and they come, and it might be a month or a week. Like if you had a doctor's appointment, you could schedule it in advance and get that ride. But if you wanted it to go to the grocery store at 2:00, you might not get a ride the way it works right now. The other part, and it's countywide,
The other thing we'll talk about is something called on-demand transportation, which I have in the future here because when we started this study, it was less in the future and more something we thought we could maybe do now, but I wanted to present it to you anyway because it's still relevant. And something you can consider. And that's more like an Uber, where you call, if you want to go to Kroger, in half an hour, you could call and they would come get you at your house and take you to Kroger and take you back. So I think we're all familiar with that. It's a little higher level of service, more frequent. So as part of the study, one of the things we did was look at travel patterns for Fayette Madison Transit right now. And so this is a snapshot in time of a month. And it was earlier in 2025, I want to say maybe March or something like that. The trips, the thickness of the lines represents more trip frequencies, but you can really see the concentration in London and West Jeff, right? And London to West Jeff as well. And a couple of other points too, going over to Hilliard is a popular one. That's a thick line, even though there's only one line there. And some other requests that they're doing. In this snapshot in time, just for your information, in case you're curious, they did mostly work trips. So the trip purpose for a lot of these was to get people to and from their employment. That was the most, that was 52 out of them. The other one were just miscellaneous trips, personal, we don't know exactly what it was for. And medical was the third most common one, but there were groceries and meals and shopping and things in there as well. So based on that information, we kind of know what the demand is right now for transportation. So option one that we're looking at right now, that really is reality today. Right now, going forward in October, I would say, not right now, but starting in October, Fayette Madison is looking at having to reduce its hours in Madison County to just that top, if you see hours of operation, 7 a.m. to 12 p.m., just that window. So to be able to, and that will get their contract trips that they're doing, and that will get some other general public demand response trips, but it's less service. So some people won't be able to get where they're going. Another thing we could do if we can make it happen is to add on maybe an evening window. And you could do 7 to 12, take a break, and then do like 3 to 6, but those are just hours. It's the number of hours that matter, not the time of the clock. This would be countywide transportation. It's 2 vehicles, plus they share one with a third vehicle with that Madison Plains contract they have right now. But it's contracted service as well there. It's essentially one. I'm trying to boil it down. Joyce probably want to know it's 2, but for the purpose of our discussion.
What would you said something about contract services?
Yes.
Can you explain that?
Contract service. I'm sorry, Joy. You want to?
I wanted to just correct something here.
Okay.
Before we went on the countywide service, I don't know if you guys got the change that I had to send into the state. I sent to Ron. I have Bob and a Ron at home, back at home. So, the hours are actually going to change October 6th to 7 to 10 and 2 to 5.
Oh, okay.
And the reason for that is when we do because I had to cut the number of hours. And when we do contract hours, we have to offer that same time period to the general public. Okay, so when she talks about the contracts, that's why, because our contracts in Madison County right now are with Madison Plains School. And that's when we're on the road for them. So that's the hours I have to use for the general public. I'm sorry.
Thank you for that. I'm sorry for that. So the hours are going off. Contracts. So public transit is put together with federal, state, and local funding, and some of the local funding can be contracted services. Those are services that have to, so when she signs a contract with someone, she's committing to guaranteed rides for that population. So that's the contract, and they pay then a rate to provide, to get those trips. That can be used as part of your local match for transit funding. But as she said, it has to be, the vehicle has to be open to the public when they're doing it, so it can't be like a charter, so it's only this population. So even though, somebody might be going to school and that's a contracted, say they've got a contracted trip to go to school. If I live on their way and I need a ride, they could pick me up too. They should pick me up too. So it's a shared.
However, there is a place that allows us with school children that we do not have to have somebody else on that particular vehicle. And we do not. With the kids that we have, we do not have anyone else on the vehicle with us kids, but we have to provide general transportation with another vehicle during that.
That's true. Does that answer your question?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So with this service, I put some service area characteristics. These are numbers that change, with looking at different sources, but basically the 19,000 jobs that have access, people have access to those jobs, when the hours line up, 44,000 people, lots of schools, lots of grocery stores. So the advantages of that service are here on the next slide, and basically it's that the service is available countywide. People can make advanced reservations, they have access to jobs, they have access to medical appointments, they don't get stuck at home if it's, a single family home and there's one vehicle, but two people work, it gives the option for that second person to be able to get somewhere and go to work, and so on. The disadvantages are here. It doesn't include same-day reservations, those kinds of things. I don't need to read all this to you. But one thing I do want to point out at the bottom, because of what we're going to talk about next, I made a statement here, and this is based on my own experience in this industry, but demand response transportation like this, when you have a big employer coming in, or a large employer coming into an area, they often see this as, it's not transportation. It's not public transportation. They want to see something like an Uber and or a bus route, but with bus stop signs. And then they say, oh, you've got transportation and people can get to work. And that's a battle that we do in smaller communities a lot, because you don't have the demand to support a fixed route yet. Would you someday? Maybe. But the statistics don't show that you have it even in London. However, the on-demand service that we mentioned seems to be something that folks can recognize, because everybody has taken an Uber, right, or a Lyft or somewhere at some time. So they can kind of wrap their head around that, and you can get it short cuts. Joy and I know that demand response is public transit, but that's just a disadvantage in communication, and it's hard to overcome. So that's what we want to talk about. That part is what's happening right now, but let me just say, yes.
On your first map with the rides, you said 52 in that snapshot that you gave us were work related. I'm assuming those are all the time happening, right?
Yeah.
Unless somebody quits their job.
Mhm.
Does the employer help support some of this?
In Madison County, no.
Do other counties do? Is that a
I currently do not have a contract. I've had several contracts, over the years. I've had them with USA, with, Sugar Creek, with a couple other places in Fayette County. But the government used to, give them back money for that. And they don't do that anymore. And so, that's kind of been a hindrance. It's been, I think David's room, it's been really hard sale here in Madison County. We have talked to many employers. David and I have gone personally and talked to employers. Now, when transportation is mentioned in any of those meetings, it is crickets. It is silence. They do not want to talk to us about paying for transportation.
So my takeaway from that would be that they're not that concerned.
No, that's not the biggest concern, but they just want to put funding towards it.
100%. Brendan, I know it doesn't sound,
It's our biggest concern, it would be our biggest problem, but we're not willing to talk to you about it, I mean.
the employers will tell us that getting people to work is their hardest, is the biggest struggle they have. But you have companies like Target and others that have said, we don't feel that our resources should go towards that, it should go something else. It doesn't sound logical to you and I, but I can't tell you that's the word that we're hearing.
Because if they're having problems, you know, filling positions, you know, they might consider that.
It doesn't. When I come back to the office and hear that, I bang my head against the wall.
And it would be a tax write-off for them anyway.
It is, I was gonna.
I told him that.
Well, that was my thought.
You're right.
It makes zero logical sense, but I bang my head every time when I come back to the office, because it doesn't, when that's the chief concern of these employers, when we talk to them, and then they say, well, we're not gonna put, you know, and it's a lot of times sizable amount that they would put towards it. It wouldn't be necessarily put, 50% towards a trip. It's more of when it comes to the contract, the larger sum, and they're not willing to do the little bits and pieces for different people's rides. It would be a different type of structure for that funding. So again, I know it doesn't make logical sense when we're sitting here talking. And it doesn't when I get back to the office after these meetings, but that's just.
Have you ever tried to give them a package? Let's say, you know, like, we'll get you 20 rides a day. I'm just using numbers here and by no means. You know, and it'll be this much. Maybe if you gave them that, they would, rather than asking them to come up with something, do you go to them with, you know, potential offer? Hey, you know, you guys are taking 20 rides a day from, you know, we're giving your company 20 rides a day. Would you be interested in supporting those 20 rides a day, up to 20 rides a day for an amount?
We have, I'm not going on like maybe with a specific package, but I've given him the cost for that. And so we work off of FTA policies that says that we have to charge for a contract the allocated cost. And that allocated cost is expensive. It's $25 a trip inside London, 35 in the county. And so when you start looking at that, they don't want to pay that. Now, I will tell you from experience that, and people who were in HR Sugar Creek would tell you the same, that when the father ran the company before he passed away, he believed in public transit. And as long as we had a contract with them, they had an amazing retention rate. His kids, they didn't see the need. They dropped the contract. Their retention rate's horrible now. And so, I've shared all of that with them, haven't I, to you? It's like talking to the wall. But we've tried. So it's the employees who end up, because it's not a guaranteed right. If it's not a contract, it's not a guaranteed right. We don't have the finances to put more vehicles and more buses, more vehicles and more drivers out there.
So if this was cut, I'm just talking about the people that have a job, then they would have to incur that cost themselves.
Well, they could pay the general public price, but the problem is I'm not getting the overhead paid enough with paying $1.50 for them to be able to, for me to be able to put enough vehicles and drivers out on the road to cover it. That's the problem.
I guess my thought is, and I'm gonna sound horrible,
It's okay.
and I don't mean to be that way, but they have a job. They're making money. You're supplying a service, even if you didn't charge them the full price. Shouldn't they be a little liable to, maybe, is that the reason maybe the companies figure that, hey, we're paying them? They need to, you understand?
Maybe.
I'm not in your business, but I'm just asking questions, that's all.
There may be a certain sector there that it's not able to drive versus.
Well, that I understand.
financial aspect of
Yeah,
it.
that I understand, but they're getting money for going there.
There's a,
It's different when you take somebody that's maybe can't drive or is elderly to the store. Okay, to me, that's fine and dandy, but if you can work, shouldn't you help? I mean, I go to work, I have to pay for the gas, I have to pay for the insurance, which is a lot more than what you guys would ask them. That's all I'm saying.
I think that's how employers maybe see it. You know, but that's kind of where we're at. The employers just are not willing to talk to us.
I guess in my business, I wouldn't do that either. I mean, I'm paying you well, coming to work. Now, how you get here is up to you.
Yeah, and my concern with the employers is that they don't act against their best interests, their best economic interests. So if they really believed that we're not gonna be able to keep up with our employee demands if this goes away, I think they would be talking. So that's.
possible.
Well, and they're also, a lot of employers are paying for insurance, health insurance, whatever. So,
Yeah. There's a resource, it's updated every year, it's Housing and Transportation Index, and it said that in Madison County, the average household spends 23% of its income on transportation. So that's going toward their, owning a car and then, so the rest of their budget is available for housing, food and that kind of thing, which is pretty typical probably for a rural community that, people are using their own transportation. So public transit is it could be a benefit. It's a benefit employers offer when you have a tight job market, which maybe, I don't know. And there's competition and they're trying to win an employee over to their company. Sometimes it's an incentive. In some communities, just depends on the job market and those, what you're saying, those opinions change. I've seen in my experience with the job market.
well, my experience in this is my parents. Okay, my mother had a job, she couldn't drive. The neighbor had a job at the same place.
Mhm.
The other lady down the road had a job at the same place, and there was 4 or 5 ladies the one lady would pick up. And they would give her $5 a week, way back then, 30-some years ago, and she would take them because she was going anyway. And then, that's the way she got her in.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And hopefully it's working that way here and people are getting. Public transit's just another option. And it serves a lot of purposes,
Good talk.
not just work. But nothing you're saying is wrong. It's transportation. It's one of those things, like, if you don't have it, you really, really miss it and you really wish you had it. When you do have it, it's easier to see solutions, I guess.
Recently, I have transportation. Sometimes I just don't want to leave the house.
No, me too. You and me both. Okay, I want to just show real quick too. Now this option, I know we only have a few minutes, but I wanted to give it to you. This is kind of a future thing. And when I looked at your zoning plan that you've got on the table drafted, I thought, wow, this really lines up. How cool. So I wanted to show it to you as well, but something to think about in the future, potentially, or if it's more attractive, we could talk about it sooner rather than later. But we looked at a zone for London and West Jefferson that would be kind of like, we'll just call it an Uber, like Lyft kind of service. So it's on demand, same day trips. And that's the service area characteristics. And so this map here kind of maps out the zone. The slide before it shows like all the number of pharmacies, although I understand maybe one of them is closed or two. Pharmacies and hospitals and those sorts of places, and the number of people that are in there. And you'll notice the lines on the map that I showed before kind of line up with this as well. But this would be a concentrated service area with quick, short, same day, short trip notice for people to get where they need to go. The fare would probably be higher than it is for the countywide demand response service. It could be done with 2 vehicles and probably serve 2 or more trips a day. I mean, an hour, sorry, for that. So like 8,000 trips a year. So the advantages of that, I think, again, are the same day. It's shorter trips. So when you're doing countywide service, sometimes people might have to ride a little longer just because you're picking up multiple people on the route, although Fayette Madison does a good job of keeping this short, but shorter trips, you can get more trips in because the zone is smaller, the vehicle can do more. And it eventually could connect with CODA in the future, which, people who are, that's more and more people are living out here and going to Columbus and Springfield and other places. So, it makes it really convenient transfer if you wanted to, or an opportunity to connect more into Franklin County and more job access for people who live out here. However, it is an expansion. So we don't have the budget for it right now, but something that's on the table, if you'd like to talk about it some more. And this slide is a little, there's an error on this slide. I should have taken it out, but I crossed it out in person. This slide shows the budget breakdown. Basically, the column in the middle is your countywide demand response transportation that we talked about first, which is continuing what you have now, but keeping at least 9 hours of service, 8 hours of service, 5 days a week, not a shorter window. And the column on the right is actually just the on-demand service. So it's essentially the same price to do if we added 2 more vehicles just in London and West Job to do that. So we estimated, so the 5311 is the federal money and the state money. And we did that as an estimate. Basically, I took their total budget and the percentage that they get now for their total budget, and I carved out how many hours are dedicated just for Madison County, and then we applied the percentages just to that. So about 77,000 federal comes toward Madison County now, and 70,000 from the state. And the fare revenue might be high, depends on how many trips they're able to provide, but that's basically 2 passengers on average per hour throughout the day on each vehicle. Would add up to that fare. The fares are going to go up. January, you're right, sorry, we just said it, January. So the estimated annual operating cost, $232,392. The shortfall is $67,900. And as we kind of touched on already, that local match, the shortfall, where we have to come from, it can come from contracts, local government funds, grants, advertising revenue. So advertising revenue is something that was always something they're working on. We don't have it right now, but it's potential that there could be some. So let's just say we got 3,000 as a start. That's advertising on the vehicles for their businesses. Our shortfall is then around that 62,000 with the fare revenue. So in order to keep going with what they're doing, they're going to need to come up with about $60,000 in additional revenue for Madison County. That number can change. So I worked this budget on an hourly cost budget, so it's around $50 and some change an hour. So if we were to say, well, we wanted to do it instead vehicle hour, not clock hour. So 2 vehicles. If we wanted to say, well, we can't come up with $60,000, but we can come up with $50,000, then we can adjust the hours back and see what would work to meet the contract trips, but that's very.
Just a question real quick, based on questioning focused on workforce.
Yeah.
Can you speak to services provided to other sectors, say providing service to BD, job and family services, veterans, elderly?
So I have here what we've transported up to this point, and realized when you see that number drop for September. I don't want to do that.
It was a new service.
We're only halfway through. Okay, and I ran these numbers last night. So job and family services contracts are with Valley.
Yes.
Yeah, yes. So we do not have the Medicaid and TNF contracts here. But I do have a contract with Veteran Services. However, Veteran Services, in all honesty, doesn't have much money for transportation. So the money that the money that's even available there is not a lot of money. Because
The
they.
Veteran Services has Dave. Transport.
Mhm. Yeah,
Back to John Family Services, I mean, because that is a department of the county commissioners
Mhm.
purview. Is there a reason why, I mean, that's through a bid process, I believe, for
it
transportation.
was a bid process
services.
in Valley One.
And Valley basically won the contract.
They won the contract. Yeah, and it was a 4-year contract. So,
How far off were you, do you know?
I don't know how far off it were. I don't think far.
Gotcha. I'm just trying to make two things
Yeah.
fit
Right.
here to benefit the whole.
Sure. Sure.
And that is, of course, the goal is always to diversify and, you know,
Yeah.
those funding sources.
What about DD?
With DD, we are working on getting Medicaid approved right now. We're not Medicaid approved, and for some of theirs, we have to be Medicaid approved. So, our agency is working on that, and we're like 2/3 of the way through.
Is that based on certain accommodations that would need to be met by the vehicles or?
Our
I'm not
vehicles
sure.
would need all of the accommodations that we need. We just need to get through that final approval. So that we can actually do the Medicaid.
Mhm.
We have to work through some of that to do DD, to be a DD provider.
So,
We transport for them. I mean, we transport some of their people, but not for them. I can't contract with them to do it. The individuals can call us and we transport, so the work actually.
Just one more question, please. So on this thing here, this one.
Mhm.
You know, again, this one is the one that, let me look here.
Yeah, like 2/3 of them are trips or
Work,
for work.
yeah, so 1,000 of those for work. What's the cost of you guys picking somebody up and taking them to work? What their fee, is it $1?
Yeah,
It's $1.
right now it's going to go in October, but it's $1 right now. Inside London, $1.50.
And anybody could do that.
Anybody.
Anybody. If I had a car and I didn't want to drive my car, I just
But I
call
will
you.
tell you, yeah, that is absolutely correct. It doesn't matter who. But I will tell you that we cannot meet the demand. We just can't. I mean, we turn people down every day. Because we don't have enough vehicles and drivers on the road to meet the demand anymore.
That's where I'm going. I mean, I have a car. I can afford to drive it. But I'd rather just pay $1 than if the car breaks down, I have a flat tire. You know, I don't care. So, again, I'm always gonna sound horrible, but of some people taking advantage of this.
I cannot say I have seen that. I have 2 individuals.
I'm not saying everybody, and I'm sure it's maybe a
I can't say it's
handful.
taking advantage because it's public. It's for anybody.
Oh, I get it.
Anybody and
I
everybody.
get it.
So we'll probably all be better off financially if we rode public transit, but we don't want to be inconvenienced by it. But, the reality is the people I'm seeing here are people who aren't able to drive. We have quite a few wheelchairs.
Oh, I know
For
that.
people with mobility devices that are going to work.
I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, I don't know that I have anybody that has a working vehicle that is going to work. I haven't seen that. I've met people, I get on the vehicles, I go out, I meet with them, I travel around and see where they're picking people up at, and I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing low income people who are low income people that are riding to work. And I would say, other than that, we have, a lot of elderly people.
Sure you do.
And the households that have one car, you know, some of them might have two people that can work and bring in all of their money. Yeah, and it is, and sometimes it is just getting yourself off the ground too, right? You've got this cheaper alternative to get to work until you can save up and buy a car, right? But, you know, that gets you where you're going to. It is open to.
But the options would be do nothing and the hours would have to be cut back significantly. Or reduce the hours and do something, right? You could do any combination of these things.
Mhm.
Increase the fare. You said the fare is gonna go up from $1 to,
To $2 and $2.50, so, right?
2 for inside London, 250 for Union County.
so it's gonna double. It's gonna go from 1 to 2. And then outside from 150 to 250. Okay.
And we still have the lowest rates.
Yeah, their fares are really.
So the state initially recommended 5 to 10. And actually 5 to 12. And then it was 5 to 10. And because they said that's the medium rate for the state of Ohio. Well, my argument was, you're looking at everybody in the state of Ohio. So you're looking at Cleveland and Cincinnati and Columbus, people who are riding public transit for very different reasons with very different incomes. And we was able to, she really helped us get it down to the 2 and 2.
We have a plan potentially in the future to raise it again in a few years, just instead of hitting everybody at once.
So that's obviously also an option on the table. I mean, I guess that wouldn't be for us to decide, but that is an option that could be considered, increasing the fare more. If you say it's the most competitive in the state of Ohio right now, that's also something that could be considered. Since this isn't general transportation, it's point to point specific, could you also have different fares based on going to work versus going to
No,
the dock? You can't do that.
not by trip purpose. We're not allowed to do that. We cannot give preference to someone going to a medical trip or to work over top of the little lady who wants to go get a haircut.
They only collect that information for their own purposes.
Yes, we're not allowed to give preference. That's a major no.
You could do it, you can do different zones, like distance wise, fares and things like that. Yeah. And so, so if we do nothing, then what happens?
Then I either have to come up with that $60-some thousand or I have to make more cuts. I'm just trying not to make more cuts. I will tell you that, those hours that we're taking people to school is also the hours we're taking people to work. It's cutting out the people that we take, that we pick up second shift and we take work for third shift. It's cutting those out, but,
It's also, it's going to grocery stores.
yeah, but there are hours that they can go to those things as well, so, but the bulk, we're hitting, I guess, a lot of the people we're already taking to work
And this is starting in October.
October 6th. Yeah, I had to notify the state at 30 days ahead of time. And I have to have a public meeting in both Bend and Madison, so I'm gonna be setting that up.
What are your hours of operations currently?
Right now, it's been 7 o'clock.
7 to 10, 2 to 5? No,
And I don't think it's 9 or 10. I think it's
okay.
maybe 10. Gosh, I've looked at so many hours and changed so many hours. This has been,
A lot of numbers lately.
it has been a lot of years.
We think the hours of operations currently are 7 to 10, 2 to 5.
I think it is.
Okay.
That's what it's going to. It's going to be going to 7 to 10, 2 to 5, October 6th.
October 6th, but what are they now?
They're 7 to, or 9 or 10 at night.
Okay, 7 in the morning till 9 or
Yeah.
10 at night, you got
Yeah.
it. So either way, you're gonna reduce hours.
Yeah.
We're trying, that's why she split it up, you know, to try and get
I split it up so I
more
could
people
keep,
in after.
yeah, and I've gotta keep
I did that.
those Madison planes. It's,
So either way, yeah, hours are going to be reduced,
anyway,
no matter what.
they're going, right now, that $67,000 is where I'm gonna be to try to keep it, to the 7 to 10, 2 to 5.
2 to 5. So yeah, so bottom line, either way, hours of operation are going to be reduced.
We did not present an option with not reducing the hours, but we could. Thanks,
I think just trying to understand.
What does the other county contribute at this point?
The other county has not contributed anything yet. Their response was,
Madison County needs to do it.
Madison County needs to do
What
something.
were they contribute?
They last year ended up putting quite a bit of money into transit. They gave us $30,000, but they also, paid, for some additional, they put probably another $30,000 in because they asked us to take over the commission on aging transit. And so they put about that much in last year.
About 60,000.
But it wasn't for this, it wasn't for the transit though, or you said
30,000.
for 30.
30,000 was for transit and 30, another was for a contract. So,
Which is, all goes in the same pot.
So it's not that they don't do anything now. When you say they want Madison County to do something, it's that they don't want to cover the gap, which they see as our.
they're not, they don't want to cover the whole gap. Yeah.
Because right now the shortfall is like 120,
The
130.
shortfall is still $100,000.
And do you anticipate, I assume with these reduced hours, then you would be, you know, those trips to work would decline, because you talked about getting people to second, third shift. I would imagine now with those hours reduction, there would be a number of people that will no longer be served to get to work.
Yeah, and I mean, Joy would probably then be able to go to those employers and say, we could potentially serve you with a contract, but they. Yes.
Any idea how much, any sense of how much that would reduce the work trips? Your reduction in hours, what kind of impact do you think that's going to have on the number of work trips? Do you think it's gonna reduce that significantly?
I would say probably, currently, probably 10 a day maybe.
Okay.
Because the bulk of what we're doing is per shift.
And I just, in my mind, as just thinking about the future too, just Madison County's growing and changing and the whole region is, transportation is an important part of it. When you're bringing new families out here. Not that I personally find with just keeping it. But I know vertical health.
Yeah, I think too, in Fayette County, some of the TANF dollars are used differently than they're used here. TANF and Title 20 both are used differently than they are used here, because that's up to the county how to use those funds.
Yeah.
And so they've been allocated to a different area maybe, than transportation. So we're seeing, I actually have transported quite a few people on TANF, Fayette TANF dollars to Stanley. But I've never been able to get Stanley put in yet.
And does Fayette County see a similar reduction in hours?
Theirs is greater.
There's greater.
So we've been operating there for a long time, and so we was 7 days a week. And, we were 5 AM to midnight. And, we cut out Saturday and Sunday completely, and we're off road at 6 o'clock. So their cuts are greater.
Okay. And historically, has Fayette County contributed, the commissioners contributed to this endeavor? Like over the last 10, 20 years, have they been contributing something for an
Yeah,
extended period of time?
I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that they have contributed every year, because they haven't. But every time there has been a need, they have. They absolutely, when there was a shortfall, they have always filled it.
Okay.
Um,
But probably never more than 30,000, would you say?
now, last year they put 60,000 into transit,
Right.
honestly.
Okay.
I can't say if it's never been more than that. I don't know what it was like. I will tell you that Sugar Creek, really filled a huge gap for us.
Sure.
And so Sugar Creek was already in place when I came on board.
Yeah.
So I really don't know what they've done before that.
Sure. Makes sense.
Sugar Creek has caused a gap in Fayette County. That's hard to fill,
Sure.
so.
And do you anticipate getting any contracts in Madison County, or you would say right now that that's looking
I'm
unlikely?
really trying to get more contracts. I'm not giving up on employers
Sure.
and I'm not giving up on schools. The contracts that we have with Madison Plains has been great. We have a really good relationship with Madison. I haven't been able to get contracts with the other schools. I talked to them. And I don't have other contracts with them at this point. And nursing facilities, I plan to meet with them shortly. I've got several nursing facilities in Fayette County.
Okay.
The gap is greater in Madison County because I don't have the contracts that I've had for years in Fayette County.
Very good.
But we're looking at here.
Well, we've ran across our allotted time a little bit, but I think that was a worthwhile discussion. Anybody else have any other questions, concerns at this time? I mean, we'll probably want to take this information, review it some more, digest it, and have an answer probably for you shortly. Yeah, but we appreciate you coming in. Yeah, we appreciate the presentation and the information and answering the questions, so we appreciate your time very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. That's fine. Thank you so much.
Thanks for getting this set up.
Sorry.
Thanks for getting this set up.
Oh, no problem.
I'll keep it sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm good. Oh, yeah, you-
But I'm get to work. There's a bull that's got this running money. It's the word. Saying, there's some benefit, I mean, there's you should look there, see the other. I don't disagree, and I can get around. I do tend to believe, right, though, Americans love them, we're so used to drive and go, come and go, and the days are, but they would say, but just or something. No, man, it might be a few. I would, yeah. There may be a few. If I can make it north, the client, but, oh, and I was just saying, yeah. If you knew they're gonna pick you up, right, you know.
Yeah, 2 cars for 232,000 a year.
No, 232,000 is the cost.
Yeah, 2 cars.
And when I figured out the rides, it was 23, almost 2,400 rides a year. And my issue is that if I take the 2,400 rides, divided into $232,000, it comes out to $97.93 per.
Sorry, I forgot the one you're done.
How many runs? 24 runs?
Just about 23, 24.
100 or 1,000?
100. Comes out to almost $100 a ride.
10,000 per ride?
Huh?
Is that 10,000 rides and get 230,000?
I'll show you. They gave us this. You wanna look at it?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Welcome to the wrong business.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
All right. We will now move into the time set aside for the zoning amendment discussion. Want to kick us off, Dennis?
Yes, because I would like to hear.
If I could,
I will-
it makes sense for me to kick this off, because,
Well, no, let me go down time.
no, I really insist on kicking this off, because this has to do with last Tuesday's regional planning meeting. That's why I requested this item, so I think it makes sense for me to convey, and we have 4 trustees from the commission here, so that's what's going on. As I hope you saw, there was a resolution or a motion that was passed. Roger Weeks moved that they table the matter until they get more information on the changes that are proposed to the current zoning resolution to date. They asked for a presentation and a hard copy of the lined out changes and highlighted proposals to be delivered 2 weeks prior to the appearance on their agenda. So I had sent this out to everyone Wednesday morning after the meeting. And that's where I requested this topic be discussed. This pertains not just to the zoning resolution, but also to the 161 overlay.
Okay, one quick
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
I provided Levin a write-up with an explanation on why that request was made for 161. It's very detailed on the exact changes, the reasoning why. Was that provided to anyone in the meeting?
There was a lot of confusion, so let me tell you, so the confusion was. And you can, some of the trustees can correct me if I'm wrong, but the confusion was, the thought was we were at that meeting to pass basically the 2 resolutions that the commissioners had to pass to officially kick off the process. That was what, I didn't think this, no, I was clear on this, right? But and I understand Dennis had a family emergency, I hope everything's okay. But I was oh my goodness, I have no idea. I have no idea.
Like I haven't murdered my son.
So sorry. So I had absolutely no idea. It's horrific. So sorry. Like I said, that was not the issue. But just being the only county representative there, I just would like people to know what the concerns were, because the meeting lasted 90 minutes, and much of that time was questions, was concerns, was frustration, and mass confusion. So the commission thought that the action it took in July was to basically kick off the process, was to allow the process to move forward. The commission did not understand, and I understood this as the board's representative, but the commission, not a single commission member, understood that the action in July was to advance a document out of the commission to go to rural zoning. No one understood that. Is that a fair statement, trustees? Right, so no one understood that they were actually voting on the document. So that's how it started. Mr. Holland had brought up that we're calling this meeting to pass the resolutions that the commissioners had already passed. So I explained that. So that's how it started. So mass confusion.
No, I think, well, I don't want to.
Speak for yourself.
So I think the disconnect continues to be, I believe, tell me if I'm wrong, as the board, is the responsibilities of county staff versus responsibility of the board. And, because as when we retooled this back a year and a half ago, I think, a lot, it was made clear, I believe, that a lot of responsibility is going to be put on the board, and Levin as treasurer, whoever the treasurer secretary is, to prepare items and ask questions and gather information. So it's not, for this board, it's not relying on county staff to be the conveyor of all information at these meetings. It's supposed to be led by the board, the president, and supported by the treasurer / secretary to handle the meeting. And it sounds, from what we were gathering, there might be still a reliance on staff to handle a lot of the preparation for these meetings, and that's not what per the revised code, is supposed to happen. This is an independent board from the county commissioners, but they play a crucial role in advancing things like the zoning, any type of zoning code update, any zoning change. And even as Dennis has discovered through working with the subdivision review board, a lot of the subdivision, regulations will play a part in that. So,
David, can I speak
yeah,
to that point?
yeah, absolutely.
So we received an email this morning, the commission did. Right, it says the commissioners would like to have Regional Planning Commission hold a special meeting this Thursday. So that's very contradictory to what you're saying,
Right,
right? It says the commissioners would like, first of all, which commissioners?
right,
I was not consulted on this. We had our meeting on Tuesday. And I requested this meeting to discuss some of the commission's concerns. And now I haven't even had an opportunity to bring these concerns for discussion. And now an email goes out that says the commissioners
Right.
want this meeting. Which commissioners?
No, and I think that goes back to that board, it's complex, right? Because the board is independent, it could be pulled, so there's two options, I don't wanna go too in depth unless we have to. There's the option A, which is what we're currently under, which is set with the different commissioners or the different trustees serving as representatives, or we could pull this back completely and then put it underneath the commissioners to have appointed board members as that. And we chose this option to give the township trustees a voice in this process. However, while it is an independent board, it's very important. It's a very important board to help with these different processes. So there needs to be, instead of a tug and pull, there needs to be a collective push moving things forward in this process. So that's where I understand what you're saying, but that's where the request is made by the commissioner to this. It's a part of the big machine.
Then I'd like the commissioners to be consulted. I wasn't consulted and I was the only person in the meeting. Right? I'm the appointee, so I should be there.
Right.
But one of the concerns raised by the trustees was the timing. And so now we had this meeting last week, there's questions, there's concerns, and now they're being told you have to meet again on Thursday, a special meeting with no acknowledgement of the concerns that the board raised, which I conveyed and communicated.
All right, let me, so so I don't know if there's anything to add about the Thursday meeting, request. I mean,
Yeah, but let's have Dennis speak and then we'll talk more about the Thursday, but if Dennis, you want to address some of these issues, go
Yeah.
ahead.
So let's go back to July 8th of 2025. The first meeting came through for the repeal and replace. I explained to every board like I have with all of them. I don't know if you were present at the time, but I wrote on our big whiteboard how I combine all of this stuff. We have 5 different booklets of standards. Nobody's gonna have time to go through all of it. It makes sense to combine them. That's what I told them. Also told them that I researched in 10 months, the Clark, Pickaway, Fayette County, and all these counties, 10 months of doing all this. So during this meeting, I also explained to them all the things are being changed, confused. There's so much to do. Now, you know, as I'm going through this, I explained them all this. They said, okay, we need to highlight it. But they approved it. So that's why we went forward. So when they went to the regional, same thing, they had the highlight. Okay, so the problem with that is that this was sent out without my notification about it. And this is where it came from. This is a great idea, but you gotta do it a month and a half before, because it's gonna take time to go to the post office. Well, they print it, put it in, mail it to Columbus, mail it back to people here, which is a mess. So this here, you know, it's got, it told me beforehand, I would say, well, then let's push back the meeting because it needs to be some month and a half for people to read. You're going from 125 to 400 plus pages, which most of it is like diagrams or stuff like that, charts. You know, so I went through, these are all research I have done. When I first came here, I had no staff. I was the only person. This is all I had. Nothing. And people talking about the amendments from 2007. This is it. They just stapled it on it. That's not how you do a resolution. That is not the right way to do it. When you do any kind of revisions to it, you should have a page saying, this was revised on this date. This is everything that's changed. Even though this is also in it, nobody knew about it. And like I said, I had no staff to direct me and let me know that all this stuff existed. So I started combining stuff to make it easier. So from that, like I said, they approved it without the highlighted changes on July 8th. And then again, I sent out an updated zoning resolution, permits, conditions, and everything to all the board members and commissioners with changes highlighted. That was July 11th.
Right, so but I think the big concern, I'll let you go, and then I have so many more things.
Okay, I lost it too.
But I was in the meeting with 90 minutes where the trustees.
Okay, so everybody who was there, who actually read 25, at least 25 pages of the zoning ordinance? Okay, how many people did 50 pages or more?
I read the whole thing.
Okay, so I have one person from the subdivision review board gave me comment. 2 people from the board of zoning appeals gave me comments. You gave me comments. So between me revising this, I kept sending them out. And as you can see the timeline I'm trying to get through, you'll see I have constantly sent out new amendments every time. All of them highlighted. All of them stated what's being changed. But like I said, from that meeting, I was blindsided by this. And I was really upset because people talking about this postcard. And I'm like, what postcard? You know, and we did everything according to Ohio Revised Code. We did everything from the web page. We sent out newspaper ads, we put it on push, put it out on Facebook. They only asked for 1. We did 4, they made. So, I mean, we went beyond being able to notify the public. Now, this whole time, even before I had to go to the court case for my son, I spoke to Rules Secretary and Chair, explained to him multiple times before, the week before, and the day before the meeting, what's been changed and why it's important to change. I did everything I did in order to notify them, even though they already looked at it before and saw it. And I still, before all this stuff, because my head says not in the right state of mind. 21st is the day. So as I'm trying to deal with this, I'm still going through doing everything I need to do just to get the board prepared. It is not I told people who needs to know. So during that meeting, they should know. So when they asked you, so you were there, right?
You're talking
At the
about
meeting?
on Tuesday?
Yes.
I was there on Tuesday.
Did they ask you a question on what's been changed?
There were myriad of questions. So there's still lack of understanding about what was changed from the 2002 and 2000. They don't know if we're using the 2002 or the 2006 version. People are struggling to follow. Is the yellow, are those all additions? Are some of those corrections? A typical aligned version would usually have on the side what's been removed, what's been changed. This was just highlighted in yellow. So people said, I don't know what's new, what's changed, what in here.
Okay, so
There
within
were
that,
lots and lots and lots of
within
questions.
that email, it said highlighted versions are new. And that was sent to the secretary. Like I said, the chair knew about it. I told him. So once again, when they asked you what was changed, what was your response?
I didn't say the highlighted, I didn't say the yellow is new. But what I said, well, I'm frankly, I'm confused.
Okay, I guess-
But the board did not know that in July, it passed the document. All right, so that, we got to start with that. The board did not realize.
The board did realize. The thing is, they didn't want to read the whole entire
All
thing.
13 members.
Okay, so.
I'm just being the representative of the
Well, I'm
board.
trying to understand, if you were there, I went over this whole thing of what the zoning ordinance is about. Back in, what was it? August 19th, maybe? When I did a presentation, when somebody asked you what was changed, what was the changes, you should have said, well, these are the changes. Just like I told the secretary, just like I told the chair, I couldn't be there. If I was there, believe me, I would explain it.
There's an,
But because I wasn't there, I was hoping somebody would have stepped up and backed me up.
yeah, well, there's an appetite for people to understand, I mean, really go in depth on the changes. And that's not happened. So between people, some people said I couldn't open the version that I got sent to me via email. Others said, yeah, I wish I had time to read 350 pages, but since I can't say I've read 350 pages and I didn't understand that we approved a document in July, I don't feel comfortable proceeding.
But here's the thing, everybody knows my email. They know my telephone number. They could have called me. I had people from other boards call me, email me, came in person to talk to me about it. But then other boards didn't want to come in for whatever reason. They didn't want to call me. I could explain it. Everybody knows I'm here to explain everything. I sit down with people. I give people options. I don't just say, well, here we go. I explain through all the emails, the highlighted version or the new. And I explain everything to them. That's why, and even in the whiteboard in the engineering office, it's still up. All the things where it's applied to, what's been put into. It is a large document. That's why, I try to explain as much as possible. I just like, I did the presentation for you, gentlemen. I try to do the same thing to them too. And of course, I'm not going to hit every point, but I try to do as much as possible. I did 10 months of blood, sweat, and tears in this. And then I sent out to people, hoping somebody would read it months ahead of time. Since March. I put so much into this. So much. It's draining, and I'm trying to do all my best and trying to explain the things. But unfortunately, I'm sorry, I wasn't there during the meeting, And
no one
but
faulted,
it was
that.
but-
That wasn't an issue. That wasn't an issue. It's just the board wants to make sure that it understands what it's voting on. And clearly there was a lack of understanding. So I just want to find a constructive way moving forward. The Thursday meeting, my concern is there was already great concern about it being a special meeting and people not knowing what they were there to do. So if we show up on Thursday, I just don't think that it'll be cleaned up.
It was asked to give their opinion.
So there's a couple questions I had, sorry, David, couple questions. Yeah, and I think this all comes back to a communication here issue clearly. Now, I just want to get a sense, I guess I was under the impression, maybe it was a mistaken impression, that this document was first sent to all the various boards, commissions back in March with highlighted changes, indicating what action we needed those boards, commissions to take. Do you think that, was that information accurately conveyed to those boards and commissions of what we were trying to accomplish? Here's the document with the changes. We ask that you review and be prepared to discuss, this document in meetings and your board meetings, commission meetings. Do you think that was accurately conveyed to them?
From what
And that's all for you to answer too. Maybe you feel like it wasn't accurately conveyed to you.
So I can speak to what I thought, okay, is that when we got the document in March, okay, it was a large document and it didn't match what we had. I had a 2006 version, so I wasn't looking at the 2002 version. So I basically copied what was on the website, pulled it off, and then just compared it. And I found it hard to go through the document because it was not highlighted at that time on what changes were made. Right, so to read it word for word and then take a page and read it word for word, I thought it was hard to do. So the next meeting that we had, I don't believe, I think we had that discussion until July.
July.
Yeah. So all that time went by. In July, I made a request that can we do a standard Word document edit so that we could see what the edits were proposed, and then we could basically go through a large document in a short period of time by reading the edits before the edits were saved into the document, which is a normal Word document saving. Okay. What we got was a highlighted document that had the edits crossed out, but all of it was in yellow. So I kind of got it, but I can see where that's confusing. You know what I mean? It is a little confusing. But in that process, my understanding for what we passed, okay, during that time, and these guys can talk that too, I thought we passed that document on to go to other boards to look for revision or whatever. I did not know that we were passing that as a final document. I thought we
No.
were giving permission.
It was the final, it wasn't the final document. I
No.
explained that. I explained that this is not the final document, but this is the last time that your board would see it.
So no one said this is the last time I remember. So, and then I still found it difficult to do. So I was hoping we would have a working session to say, hey, and I thought that we did these boards and we did these as working sessions at the board so that we had discussion and went through that at each board meeting that we did. And we had times where we didn't have board meetings because we had stuff on the docket. I mean, this could have been on the docket, but my point was, I think that a lot of people didn't read it. Or that did read it, didn't read it, that were reading it, were still confused. You know what I mean, even as I was, on what the changes exactly were. And how the final was gonna look. Does that make sense?
You're right, you could have had those working sessions as a board, but that is something that the board has to organize. They can't be necessarily a directive from the county. I mean, of course, we could say, hey, you guys, in our opinion, need to do this, this, and this, but, you know, the board is autonomous to the county. So you're right, but it didn't happen. So here we are today.
And I don't, you get, you know, I don't know that all of us, and Dennis, we probably missed this if we talked about it, knew your deadlines, knew your timeline for what it needs to be passed through us by X amount of days, it needs to go, you know, I mean, I don't know that we knew that, in the beginning, so it may have been said, I mean, you guys speak up too, but I don't know that I recall having me saying, hey, here's a deadline on when we need to do this.
So if this was not, if we would never see the final document, I mean, basically, we're just saying, go for it. I mean, I thought that our position was that we're the first step in passing something, then we pass it, goes to the rule, and then it comes to.
Correct. Yeah, so it's a recommended body, and there's an opportunity for revision up to that final presentation too.
Right, but if we pass just this first session, we never see it again.
Correct.
What good would we do?
It's, right, I mean, and that's the revised code. That's how
Yeah,
it's.
you guys are basically making a recommendation to the next body on changes, recommended changes, approval, non-approval, approval with changes. I mean, that's basically the recommendation that you all are making to the next body that will see the document.
That's just how.
And that's just the way, as David said, that's just the way the code is written that way for you to kind of be an advisory body, if you will.
I mean,
It's basically best to just come in, here's the 2006, I'm gonna make changes to this, would you like to make changes? Okay, we go yes, and then we never see anything else.
Right, but that's where the integrity of staff and the county comes in. I mean, and that's, I think another thing is, in theory, just tossing it out there, I mean, in theory, you could take an action to not recommend, and still action, that still would advance. Right. You know, so.
Getting back to the Thursday special meeting.
Well, I wanted to hear from other people. I mean, what were your thoughts on the process, the communication? Were you aware that you were basically making, an advisory body, that you were to review this document and kind of take a vote on advising approval, non-approval, approval of changes? Do you think you were made aware of kind of what your role was in this process?
Basically, it's changed slightly, and we knew that a year and a half ago, or whatever. But what has been stated here this morning, all true, and I can tell by looking, 2 or 3 of you, you're confused too. So it's a confusion and it's a communication issue, what it boils down to. I kind of get the vibe here that I think that's what, when a year and a half ago, that this regional planning was independent. And that we kind of do our own thing. But on the other hand, whether it's true or false, we rely on the expertise